up in your face, but I made the connection correctly.
Cool.
Yeah.
In 1215, in Runnymede, about a nobleman came together with King John, and they insisted on certain principles so that they would not feel like they were being taxed without representation, in effect. King John agreed to, with a seal, the principles that the nobleman had asked him to agree to, and they included things like the right to habeas corpus, punishment should be proportionate to the crime involved, in effect, no taxation without representation, many principles like that. It was written in medieval Latin. Unfortunately, one of the principles, according to King John's view of it, would result in his being excommunicated, because the King of England then was really subordinate to the Pope. The Pope said this isn't a very good principle, because the principle said that 25 noblemen could come together and overrule what the king wanted. And if that were the case, maybe sometime somebody could overrule what the Pope wanted. So the Pope said, I don't like that. The king said, I don't want to be excommunicated. So several weeks after he actually attached his seal to it, he abrogated it. That resulted in a war. He died in the war. His 9-year-old son became the next king. Regents basically came up with a new version of this one, and that kept the peace for a while. When that king, King Henry, died, his son, King Edward, became the king. And he, in a similar situation, his grandfather needed some money to fight wars in France. He sought from noblemen some more money. They asked him to agree to a new Magna Carta, and he actually did so in 1297. This comes from 1297. The advantage of this one over the 1215 one, though that's perhaps more famous in some respects, this became the law of the land of England and is still the law of the land of England. So this actually became something that really set the trend for common law in England, whereas the 1215 version was abrogated. And while the 1215 version has many things in it that's in this version, this is the one that's really the law of the land of England, and that's why it's so important. Is that?
Well, that's very good.
Okay.
Just take one step further, and,
Okay.
and what of the Magna Carta is in our founding documents?
Well, in the our Bill of Rights, we have, in effect, well, the whole government is based on no taxation without representation, representative government. We have the right to habeas corpus. We have crime that's punishment proportionate to the crime, trial by jury, things like that are the inspiration for our Bill of Rights. But if you read the early writings of Hamilton and Jefferson and Adams and Madison, many times they say it's because of the Magna Carta that we're doing this. And remember, these people who were breaking away from England, they viewed themselves as Englishmen. And they said, we don't want to break away from England. We are Englishmen, and we are entitled to the same rights as all Englishmen, and those include the rights of the Magna Carta. Ultimately, the Parliament and the King, King George, said, no, you're really not entitled to the Magna Carta rights. You're different. And that's really what led to the breakaway, because the rights that they thought they had as Englishmen living in the colonies were not rights that the Parliament and the King really wanted to give to people who were then living in the colonies. So it was really the Magna Carta principles that made many people feel that they really deserve certain rights, and that not having them, they should break away.
Other documents out there now that
I own a few other documents I've put on display, and just know that the Emancipation Proclamation's in the Oval Office now that I lent there, and I've lent a copy of the Declaration of Independence to the State Department Benjamin Franklin Room. And yesterday I unveiled the copy of the 13th Amendment that I bought, which abolished slavery, and that is now in the New York Historical Society. I have replicas of these, but I don't really want to have in my house these kind of things, because I want people to see them and learn more about American history. Anybody that comes here will probably have been taught by their teacher something about the Magna Carta. When they see it, they might want to learn more about it, and that's what's very important. I think Americans don't know that much about American history. In a survey recently that Pew did, they asked people, average Americans, what river did George Washington cross during the Revolutionary War? And about half the people said the Rhine River, which is not in this country. People were asked, who is the first Secretary of the Treasury? And a large percentage said Larry Summers. So our knowledge, and then people were asked, what are the first 3 words of the Constitution? And many people said, I have a dream. Now, so people's knowledge of American history is, let's say, limited. And I think to the extent that they can learn more about our history, it'd be a good thing. So that's really kind of my goal. Thank you all.
Pieces. I mean, this is 700 years old, and we don't even know when that was done.